Greetings and salutations, traversers of history and the internet. Today I'm going to review Book 2 of the Histories of Herodotus, translated by George Rawlinson and named after Euterpe, the muse of music. But calm yourself, this book has nothing to do with music. Music. Gasp. It makes so much sense now. Book 2 transitions from the death of Cyrus in Book 1 and then follows the life of Cambyses as he takes over Persia and begins his conquest of Egypt. And from here, Herodotus recounts a brief history of Egypt as he knew it. And that's pretty much all of what Book 2 is about, stories and marvels of Egypt. Which there are plenty of. I mean, the Egyptians were the freaking kings of marvels. They had the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Valley of the Kings. Just so many stuff and things. Herodotus starts off with the funny story of how the Egyptians accidentally proved that they weren't the oldest race of people in the world. Their method of proving it is thus. They lock up a child, keep it in isolation, away from all people, until it speaks its first word. You gotta love the logic of ancient cultures. Something which took me by surprise here is that Herodotus goes into a bit of geological history. I'm not sure how true the things he says are, but I do know that they correlate with other theories that I've heard. And they sound reasonable. For instance, he says that back in the day of the first pharaoh, all of Egypt was covered in a marsh. His proof is that all of Egypt is sand, which could only have come from a body of water previously being there. I think it's incredible for him to have deduced this. He also talks about where stones from the pyramids came from, the Euterpean Sea or the Persian Gulf. Herodotus is simply baffled by the pyramids and just as curious about their construction as we are. He accounts the use of some elaborate machines to construct it, but this is just a theory. I would like to note that Herodotus was actually further away in time from the construction of the pyramids than we are now from the birth of Jesus. One thing I have to give Herodotus credit for is trying to look at all these stories in a fair and objective light. He doesn't insult any other culture's customs. He might be puzzled, he might be skeptical, but he's not critical. For example, he tells with a straight face that the Egyptians believe that Heracles came from Egypt and that the Greek gods are actually based off of Egyptian gods. I mean, being a Greek, I figured that Herodotus would have taken the offensive, but he doesn't. He just offers it as their take on the world and leaves it at that. It's very noble. Well, except for the cats. He seems just as annoyed by cats as a lot of people today. The number of domestic animals in Egypt is very great and would still be greater were it not for what befalls the cats. Meow. I wonder if Herodotus would be watching cat videos endlessly on YouTube if he were in today's world. But that aside, Herodotus does a really good job at keeping a straight face because there are, shall we say, some quirky customs and stories. Did you know that men got embalmed immediately after death, but women got embalmed 3 days later? You know, when they're good, rotting and stinking. Real pungent. Because, they had a problem with the embalmers having sex with the dead bodies. Just imagine being caught. Awkward. Or the custom that once a year citizens go before the government and if they have no means of living they are put to death. And apparently Solon found this custom and established it in Greece. And further apparently more, Greece was still practicing it in Herodotus' time. That kind of blew me away. I wonder what they defined as no means of living. I feel like Jonathan Swift would approve of this modest proposal. Oh boy, maybe even encouraging to eat the useless. Might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Poverty and hunger. Boom. Solution. Or what about the time Pharaoh Sesostris' son Pharaon went blind? And the only way to cure his blindness was to have a woman who has been true to her husband piss upon his ear and his face. I guess he wasn't one of the sons that was around whenever Sesostris was trapped in his burning house. And he used the bodies of his children to escape the burning rafters. What a swell guy. Everyone deserves a father like Sesostris. But hey, the Greeks have their peculiar customs too. As Herodotus points out, the testicle festival. Hey, they got them there in the boonies of Missouri too. I seen one on a billboard. So one story which I thought was interesting, but not necessarily quirky, at least it follows the Greek trend of trying to change destiny. At one point, Egypt was ruled by 12 different kings, and a prophecy said that one day one of those kings would rule over all the other 11. Well, in an attempt to prevent this prophecy, they actually created it. Very similar to Astyages' King Amid's story in Book 1 of the Histories of Herodotus. One story which I really liked, or at least got a lot out of anyway, was about a king who was always criticized for dabbling in games and sports. This is what he said in response to their criticism. Bowmen bend their bows when they wish to shoot, unbreak them when the shooting is over. Were they kept always strung, they would break and fail the archer in time of need. So it is with men. So often we forget that politicians are men, and as men they need to have fun and be entertained. People get all fussy when they see a politician playing golf or going to their ranch to have some leisure time. Well, they need to let off some steam just like we do. And it's probably healthier and better for their decision making that they do. I fully support the practice. If they give themselves constantly to serious work and never indulge a while in pastime or sport, they lose their senses and become mad or moody. Minding this, I divide my life betwixt pastime and business. I really like that. I think that's great. So that's the Histories of Herodotus. My questions to you are, how does this account of Egyptian history pair up with other accounts of Egyptian history? And it seems like these names might have been changed to Greek alternatives, because I didn't recognize a single pharaoh. So who do these kings actually represent, assuming they do? And how did you like the Egyptian stories compared to the ones in the first book? Or the other books, for that matter. Well, I'm Jakey Steve, the long-haired freaky dude. Thank you for watching this review. If you like books like this, or other pieces of literature, mathematical works, or philosophy, then might I suggest taking the Great Books Challenge. I'm sure it's something that you would love to do. If you want to see other reviews or cooking tutorials, or, just other crazy things, might I suggest checking out my channel and hitting the subscribe button, okay? If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you want to start a discussion in the comments section below, feel free to do so. And feel free to be however vulgar you like. This is a democracy here. This is free speech, man. Be as mean as you like if you want. Mean is mean, but hey, it's gotta happen sometimes. Well, I'm Jakey Steve, the long-haired freaky dude. Thank y'all for watching. See you in the next video.